So let's talk a little bit more about these parliamentary elections. We're joined by SABC's international news editor, Sophie Mokoena. Sophie, always good chatting to you and getting your insights. Perhaps you want to give us a little bit of an update as to what happened overnight in France after these elections.
Well, clearly, as you pointed out in that intro, the far right that performed very well last week during the first round of elections did badly this time around, coming third, and the centrist of the Prime Minister, of the President Emmanuel Macron, coming second, and of course the Left Party coming first. And therefore this has completely changed the dynamics in terms of politics in France, because now President Macron will be compelled to consider the Left Party as a part of the government in that country. And therefore, we saw yesterday the Prime Minister indicating that he is going to resign this morning to give the President Emmanuel Macron an opportunity perhaps to appoint a Prime Minister from the Left Party.
So obviously this was a big risk that President Emmanuel Macron took to call these snap elections. And now France is entering into territory they've never been in before. I mean, this risk that he took, what does this result basically mean for him and for the country?
It is a difficult moment for France in the same way a few weeks ago South Africa entered this terrain. Many people and also the analysts in France are saying that this is a very complex terrain, because when you look at how things are right now, Emmanuel Macron will have to consider a lot of input from the far left. The first thing is the issue of Middle East. We saw during the celebrations even this morning that there's a strong support for Emmanuel Macron or to push Emmanuel Macron to make it clear that France doesn't support this war in Gaza, and therefore he must stop funding or supplying arms or supporting the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu. Secondly, you know that the issue of investors and business in general, he was very friendly to the capitalists, and therefore with the Left Party, he will have to consider the economic policies, and therefore that will bring a shift. And on the other hand, you also have the war in Ukraine, and he will have to think very hard in terms of what will be his position, because of the new entry into government with a different perspective in relation to how France must handle these challenging international issues. But above all, the issue of the economy in that country, unemployment, high cost of living are the main issues. Also the issue of immigration, and he will have to change in terms of how he was handling even the internal dynamics. You would recall the issue of the age, what was passed by Parliament in terms of when people must go on retirement. That brought a lot of happiness within the workers in that country, and therefore he will also have to consider that. So he is going to have this 3 years left, as we know that he'll leave office in 2027, being a very, very challenging time for him. And as he traveled to the United States of America to attend even the NATO meeting in Washington, he is fully aware that in terms of the new entry into government, the Left Party has a different view in terms of how France must handle the relationship or its participation within the NATO group. And therefore, it is a very, very challenging time. We saw the shift in the United Kingdom, but in France, it's getting even more difficult. We saw this happening in South Africa. And it looks like all over the world, the citizens and the voters have decided that they will give direction in terms of what must happen in their countries. You know what was strange for me was how the markets were reacting. While in South Africa, the issue of the left is a sensitive one, and we were bombarded with messages that markets don't want ANC left alliance or coalition or government of national unity. In Europe, the message is different. It looks like the market has accepted whatever the decision will be taken or the direction the countries are taking. Because even in UK, you saw that the Labour Party, even though it has transformed, has become so powerful